Hey folks, I feel I need to warn buyers and sellers again. Then I'll get into the latest home prices and insights for the Peel and Durham regions for week ending April the 5th, 2023. So with one of our buyer clients, we're putting an offer on a property. It was offer night. This was just a couple days ago. It was offer night. There were 10 other offers we were competing with. And before we put the offer together, we had a pretty good idea of what this home should sell for. But it's offer night, you really never know for sure what's going to happen. And let me just give you the background. This home is a fairly new home, 1 or 2 years old. The subdivision is fairly new. And one home recently sold. When I say recently, like 4 weeks prior, a same model home sold for about $950,000. Same model, 4 weeks ago. That model that sold had a few updates on the main floor that the home we were looking at didn't have. So just simple math is, well, if the market never moved and stayed exactly the same, then the home we're looking at should sell a little bit less because it didn't have those updates on the main floor. However, we know the market's gone up and we know we're competing most likely with other offers. So we had an idea of where budget-wise made sense to buy this home. Well, on offer night, as the competition kind of starts and they start going through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 offers on this property, we had to pull out. Turns out this property, I don't know the final number yet. At the time of filming this show, we don't have the final price yet, but around $200,000 more than what a very similar home sold for 4 weeks ago. That's what this property is going to sell for, about $200,000 more. Has everybody gone nuts? This is what I'm saying. It's like, I feel I got to warn everybody again. I was doing this a year ago when prices were just going astronomically high. I had to warn people, hey, there's a warning for the buyers here. There's also a warning for the sellers I'll get into in a second. But the obvious problem if you're a buyer and you're overpaying that much, are you getting a mortgage for this or are you paying cash? Because if you're getting a mortgage, there's no way this home is going to appraise at that price. And the banks are going to say, yeah, you paid 1.2. We did pre-approve you, but that home you bought isn't worth 1.2 in our eyes. And they're going to give you less, and you're going to have to come up with that difference. And if you can't close as a buyer, you got some serious financial obstacles in front of you. The realtor that's representing these buyers that are way overpaying for properties, it's like, guys, are you not guiding your clients properly? Like, I've never personally worked with a buyer that tells me I can't wait to compete on offer night. No buyer says that. Yet every buyer I work with knows the potential to compete is always there. I mean, if the buyer likes certain features about a house, chances are there's other buyers that like the same features about that house. And even if there's no offer scheduled, the potential to compete with other offers is always there. But with my clients, we go into it having a strategy, having a plan as to what we're going to do. So this way, my buyer clients, even though they don't want to compete, can still compete and feel comfortable about it. We don't win them all, but we win some. It's unbelievable that a year after I was warning everybody about this, that we're back here again. So that's the problem for the buyers. If it doesn't appraise, you got a problem. Sellers, you have the same problem. I know if you're a seller, it's exciting to get way more for your house than you ever imagined. That's just money in your pocket. That's phenomenal. But there's signing an agreement of purchase and sale and having a firm deal. And then there's actually closing. You don't get paid on that firm deal. You're one step closer. but your property has to close. We recently did a transaction where we were representing the seller, and all the offers came in here. One offer came in here. Naturally, that's the one we're looking to accept. The seller's all excited. But I first needed, as the listing agent, needed to do my homework. There's no point in signing this agreement off and then it doesn't close. I found out through conversation, through some research, that the buyer buying that house was a move down buyer. They sold their much bigger, more expensive home. They were downsizing to that house. They were an all cash buyer. Wonderful. They want to pay even more? Let them. I wasn't going to stop them. But I was confident the property was going to close because it didn't depend on an appraisal coming in at the right value. But if somebody was going to get a mortgage to buy that property that we sold, there could have been a problem because the price was way more than what made sense. So as a seller, there's an obstacle there for you also. Just because you sold it doesn't mean it's going to close. And this is where the realtors, this is where we as professionals, we have to take responsibility and help guide and help consult. At the end of the day, buyers and sellers are going to make decisions that's best for them. Our job is to give them the right information so they can make intelligent decisions. And like I said, here we are again. We were warning everybody about this a year ago. It seems everybody forgot what happened, and now we're back across the GTA. Multiple offers, people paying way more than the last known comparable in the neighborhood. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from this video, subscribe. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way, I'll know ahead of time and I'll make sure my schedule is organized so we can talk about whatever's on your mind. Let's get going here. Excuse me. Here's a quick summary. Average sold prices for detached properties only, broken down by week for about 3 months here since the beginning of January, ending April 5th. So we've got Mississauga, we've got green here is Brampton, and then we got the Durham region over here. For a while now, since the beginning of the year, prices, generally speaking, for each of these areas has been trending up. For the 1 week right now, for April 5th, prices, average sold prices have come down. Let's look a little bit closer here. We're going to start off with Mississauga. 50 detached properties were sold for week ending April the 5th. Since the beginning of the year, sales have been going up, and that's what we would expect. When we look at average sold prices, look, a year ago we were in the 1.8 range, high 1.7 range. Now we're sitting 1.4 and a bit, 1.449. Average sold price for week ending April 5th is $1,436,000. $1,436,000 is 21% lower than where we were a year ago, which is about $380,000 less from where we were a year ago. But if we're looking at trends and we're looking at also median prices, well, median price is 8% lower than where the median price was a year ago, and prices have been trending up, and it seems since the beginning of March kind of flat for both median and average sold price. This is for Mississauga only, detached properties. Look at sales. This is one of the few times so far all year sales are pretty close to where we were last year at this time. But, you know, we are kind of, if we look at a year ago, we're off the peak now. Interest rates were starting to climb, and sales are coming down. Prices also have been coming down. 40% of those 50 sales sold at list price or more. Listings we're still way off the pace from what we were listing last year at this time. 84 detached properties were listed. Months of inventory keeps coming down. It's now sitting at 1.2 months of inventory. If you're joining us or recently joined us, let me just take a second here to explain. Months of inventory really is the relationship between supply and demand. So if we look at what the sales currently are and we project it and saying, okay, so if this is what we've sold in a week, that's what we're going to continue to sell. And we look at active listings. I'm going to go back one slide. Active listings, meaning how many properties are actually available for sale, divided by how many we're actually buying, tells us how much stock we have, months of inventory. If we buy at the current rate, how quickly will we buy up what's available for sale, basically? Supply and demand. As months of inventory come down, prices tend to go up. Now, sometimes it doesn't always behave that way. We could see here, months of inventory is coming down, and it looks like prices have also been coming down, but normally as months of inventory come down, prices go up. And the reverse, as months of inventory go up, prices tend to come down. Here's Brampton. 89 detached properties were sold for week ending April the 5th. 3 of those sold, I'm holding up 2 fingers, 3 of those sold at $2 million or more. Sales have been also, since the beginning of the year, not every week, but generally speaking, sales have been increasing as we get into the warmer months. A year ago, we were just over 1.4 to under 1.5 million. Seems about the average here for April. Right now, we're sitting, high 1.4, close to 1.5. We're sitting at just over 1.2 to high 1.2. That's where we've been for the last little while here in Brampton. Average sold price for week ending April the 5th is $1,252,000. 1,252 is 16% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago, which is approximately $240,000 less than where prices were a year ago. Median price of $1,210,000 is 14% lower than where the median price was a year ago. And when we look at both average and median price since the beginning of the year, prices are trending upwards for Brampton. This is for detached properties. Sales also pretty close to where we were last year at this time. 89 this year were sold, 100 were sold the same week last year. But if you look back, we've been way off the pace from what sales were a year ago. Of the 89 that sold, 54% sold at list price or more. It's getting pretty competitive in Brampton, and that the percentages have been increasing quickly. Listings, way off the pace from where we were a year ago. Months of inventory, I put an exclamation mark there, 0.7. We're way less than 1 month of inventory. We're at 0.7. Months of inventory has been coming down. Prices have been trending upwards. Here's my Durham region, and for Durham, I'm looking at Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby as my Durham sample. 59 detached properties were sold. 1 of those was at $2 million or more. Average sold price is $1,215,000, and for the last few weeks we were in the high 1.1 to just over 1.2 range. This time last year we were 1,360, 1,376. We're in a high 1.3, and a little over 1.2. 1,215,000 is 11% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. That's about $145,000 less than where prices were a year ago. Median price of $1,210,000 is 8% lower than where the median price was a year ago. And although for most of February prices were kind of flat, this is both average price and median price. We can see that for March, prices have been aggressively going up in the Durham region. Sales, a little bit less, but still a lot closer to where it was a year ago. 71% of the properties sold in Durham sold for at list price or more. So lots of competition, 71% selling at list price or more. Listings, just like all regions, way off the pace of what we were listing last year at this time. So the buyers have shown up, ready to buy, ready to compete. Not many properties to choose from out there. Listings are pretty low. Brampton had a months of inventory of 0.7. Durham region, we're at 0.5. That's almost dangerous. That should be a warning sign. Anybody trying to buy in the Durham region there, 0.5 months of inventory. They have been quite steady at this level, really low, and you could see prices starting to more aggressively increase. Here's condos for Peel region. Condos is a whole different story than the detached market, whole different set of dynamics. It's a different market altogether. 47 condos were sold. 2 of those were at $1 million or more. Prices for condos over the last 3 weeks have been going up. We're now sitting at $666,000. 666 is 5% lower than where the price was a year ago, and we're only about 35,000 lower when you compare actual average prices, 35,000 lower than where we were a year ago at this time. Median price of 612 is 11% lower than where the median price was a year ago, and prices for medium and average prices have been going up. 47 were sold, not so far off the pace of last year, 23%, so not as many as in the detached market percentage-wise, but 23% of the condos sold at list price or more. Listings were off the pace from where we were last year. Months of inventory sitting at 1.5. Now, 1.5 months of inventory is quite low actually. It's very much a seller's market, but we're comparing it to 0.5, 0.7, so 1.5 seems high, but it's not. It's very much a seller's market. Below 4 months of inventory is a seller's market. When you're down at these levels, that's an extreme seller's market. That's the report. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.